these. If they would, and he would give his prayer, and then he would throw that on the table, and if they would both fall this way, his answer was yes. If one was this way and the other way, he would say it was questionable. If they both were this way, it was definitely a no. Ladies, after a while, if you want to come up and look at it, this is very neat needlework that they did. These buttons here, during World War II, we lost a fighter jet in those mountains, and they stripped that jet of its aluminum, and they made all these buttons from the aluminum of that fighter jet. That's a dress. It's a dress for a full-grown lady. That's about the size that they were. They're all quite a bit smaller. Here is one a little different as a coat. The ladies wore no underclothes, none whatsoever, and occasionally the one tribe, they would wear this over themselves as slant like that for a bra. These are made from hemp, and they weaved them themselves. This was I think this would be a man's vest, and the women would have one like this that they would tie around their waist. The guys, the early guys, there was not too much of this anymore when I come, but this is also made of tree bark, like my raincoat was. It's a certain tree that grew a bark with that was rain resistant and shed the rain. And this is a G-string. I never wore them, and I was going to try it, but I've forgotten how to tie them. And you remember in Bible in Genesis where Jacob made a colorful coat for Joseph? I saw 4 or 5 of those coats, and I have one of these. Whether this is exactly like Joseph got, I don't know, but this is what was they gave. And my national friends, they negotiated for it. I almost felt guilty about it. I very much wanted to bring a sample home. This was a wife had cancer, and she was about to die. And she had spent a whole year making this beforehand to give to her husband so that he would not forget her love for him. And it's almost a shame and guilty that I end up with the coat. Not right? And okay, I think we're ready after about time. So show some video, and if you have any questions, sure, come up after a while and ask me. Try it out in my memory. After all, it's been over 60 years now. What do I remember? Will you know the difference? I did not say that the 7th Fleet of the Navy was patrolling the straits between Formosa and mainland China to keep the two apart. And I feel that, I sure didn't do it myself, but building the relationship, I think had a small part that Taiwan never experienced what we experienced in Korea and Vietnam, to build that relationship. I firmly believe that. Okay, good morning. I'm in our home there. Was a 2-bedroom home, that is not a garage, that's the entryway. You take your shoes off when we come in, and just at the far end was our kitchen. And the kitchen is without appliances. There was a sink there, and we had a little, what we call a hibachi, where we had charcoal coals in there, and a cook that cooked for me, and she traveled with me also. So, it's a nice morning. The clouds are over the mountains, the fishing boats are coming in from the night of fishing out on that thing out in front. They would, a fisherman would be there with a spear and spearing fish. They're coming into, by the lighthouse, coming into the harbor, and apparently there's a hurricane or a typhoon out to sea because the waves are coming in quite strongly. Well, come with me. We'll take a little walk this morning through town before we get to the villages. We take off, and I'm on my way to the hospital where the ambulance is parked. We go through the marketplace, and I find my way through there with a bicycle without running anyone down. The meat market is open. Nothing is prepared beforehand. It's butchered that morning, and the farmer's market is out on the street. A place like this, they're serving breakfast. It's soybean milk and such, and when an American comes, it usually would excite them. And you know what we used to think of DDT? You remember that? You remember DDT? That was eliminated for, when I showed up at the bench, he took that fly sprayer, you know, and he sprayed over the whole table. He was showing me that he was keeping it free of flies and sanitation. However, I frequented these places. It was a matter of relationship. Early in the morning, the ladies are in the sewer. We had open sewers. This is in the villages, and they were washing the clothes. This is downtown of the capital city at that time. This is the main highway through town of the capital city, and you see they have in the center for traffic, and on both sides is for the bicycles, pedicabs, what you see, for the freight, and that took up most of the traffic. This is charcoal in those baskets. You might run into a celebration that the Buddhists were running, and they would have their activities, what they were, and the tables would be set the length of the street with various food being offered and eaten on the barrels and that, and here they're burning paper money as an offering or sacrifice. This is another Buddhist procession. The priest was up in the pedicab, and these are all following. They had many activities as we have, even to the degree like Daily Vacation Bible School. And this was an advertisement for them that invited them to come to their place of worship and participate in their worship. They would have the stands set up, a platform, opposite their the temple, and they would be performing, pantomiming their messages that they had, and in between that and the temple would be a congregation of people. The Buddhist priests were in there, and food was set up on the table before there that the people had brought to be dedicated to. Finally, we get there. We get to the hospital, and we load up what we have to take. I had a Dodge four-wheel power wagon, and away we go. And let's see what we find along the way. This is, when I was there, this was the road to the airport. It was a dirt or probably a little gravel on it on a road. When Irene and I went back in 1940, this was a 4-lane highway.
1980.
That was the 1980. Okay, sorry. All right, we might see a farmer going, leaving his farm, going to the rice paddies. The boys enjoy riding their buffalo. The Japanese had set up train tracks, and trains were just a little above a toy. We had tracks 18 inches apart where they would bring the sugar cane in. Those little tracks would bring the dirt from suitable place where they would take the dirt and make pottery out of that, or a lumberman would bring back a big log. A farmer is carrying his plow, just as a farmer does now with a tractor. He carries the plow behind. He plows the field. It takes him days to plow an acre. Now they plow an acre in minutes with our large tractors. After plowing it, they go through with tines or various implements to break up the clods. These paddies were all irrigated from the mountains, and here they come with a roller to make mush out of it and prepare the field. The rice has been planted in nursery boxes. They bring those boxes to the field and plant them. After they are planted, they need to be the rice fields needs to be sterrated, the weeds eliminated. They're all day on their hands and knees in that water. They were already behind the buffalo. Imagine what their hands and feet are like. At the time of harvest, they're cut it, and you see their threshing machine. They pedal it with their feet to turn the cylinder and thrash the rice out of the bundles that the man ties after it's cut. And when they see that I was taking pictures, that of course induced them to speed up quite rapidly and really show the Americans how hard they worked. There's a little box below that collects the rice as it comes. It comes with the chaff and all as the cylinder draws it out of the straw. In the southern part of the island, they used this type of a threshing machine, just a grate where they would throw it over after harvesting season. To our dismay, they load up the wheat and take it and have it, what you call hulled, that's not the word, but polished. And I thought they took a lot of the protein and edible energy out of it. Here he's threshing out soybeans. Well, it's been those first couple miles till we got to the mountains. Now we cross the stream on a suspension bridge. The pastor uses a hammer to hammer on the bell there. Usually we set up our shop at a church if it was. If not, we would set it up at school. And of course the curiosity brought the village people out, and I would say normally 98% of the village would turn out. We would have a little opening exercise where we would give some Bible stories. I had our chaplain along that would tell the Bible stories, and later on the doctor would give some health classes of what they could do to improve their health. And then we'd set up clinic. the doctor would see the patients, and of course, everybody